Trying to stop thinking is precisely the reason why you're unable to stop overthinking. Think of it this way. Trying to suppress your thoughts by using more thoughts is never going to work. This is precisely the reason why high-performing professionals end up staying awake at 12:30 a.m. at night, ruminating thoughts again and again, and forcing themselves to stop thinking more. What this usually leads to is constant tossing and turning, and finally picking up your mobile phone or watching a digital series just to distract yourself. Today, I'm going to help you unpack the exact phenomenon behind overthinking and tell you the precise tool which is going to help you to actually eliminate this from your life. So save this video to watch it later and share it with someone who you know will really benefit from this. First, let's start with the excellent experiment. I'm going to ask you to do something right now. Listen closely. For just the next 10 seconds, I want you to not think about a pink elephant. Are you doing this exercise with me? Let me repeat it for you. For the next 10 seconds, I want you to not think about a pink elephant. What's really happening? Is it that you are actually ending up envisioning and seeing a picture of a pink elephant? True, right? The harder you are trying not to think about it, the more you're going to end up thinking about it. Now here's the truth behind this. The brain and the mind doesn't understand the logic of negation. If you say, don't do this, or you put a no before something, the mind just understands what I'm saying is that the mind just understands what comes next. So the negation is basically does not have any value. That's precisely why when you said not to think about a pink elephant, it's just that exact same vision that kept coming to you. So what's really happening over here? To understand this, we need to understand the mind graph or the steps that lead to overthinking. In short, let me explain this to you. We mostly recognize and understand when we are already exploding with too many thoughts and ruminating about something again and again. Now, that's only the end result. What's really happening over here is the mind is excessively running. For that to happen, the mind needs to be functioning. For the mind to be functioning, it needs a supply of energy. And overthinking is simply a result of an excessive supply of energy. Now, in a nutshell, what this really means and why this happens is something we'll be talking about just recently, just in the near future. Basically, the excessive energy gets supplied because of our over-identification with the mind. More on that very briefly. Let's move on to the next thing. I want to make sure that I'm capturing everything for you. So here's the thing. Let's understand now, why does overthinking really happen at 12:30 a.m.? Why does it happen late in the evening? Think about your day. As a high-performing person, throughout your day, you're mostly occupied with a lot of events. Maybe you're dealing with meetings. Maybe you are firefighting at work. Maybe you have a lot of responsibilities. Throughout this time, your mind is constantly engaged by those external events. In other words, your mind is pretty busy. And when it's busy, the background mental noise as such is at that moment a little bit suppressed, or rather it's hidden. Now when you get back home and you're unwinding, these external activities have come to a standstill. Now the internal mental noise, the thoughts about the future, about what you did wrong earlier today, about what's missing in your life, they do not have anything to hide behind. Then, because of our habit of excessively listening and engaging with every thought that runs in the background, we become excessively identified with those thoughts, and it becomes a loop. What that means is, we have a thought, we entertain it, we engage with it, and that just makes that thought process stronger and stronger and stronger. Are you following? If this is resonating, write in the comments and I'll definitely respond to you. So, what do you really need to do? It becomes critical to understand the process of mental disidentification from your own mind and thoughts. Let's talk about that in detail now. Something that I do in my work with the Bulletproofing-Happiness Framework in order to help people overcome overthinking is something called the mind stilling technique. Now this is a wonderfully self-tested, researched method, and what this really does is it helps you to understand the crux of why you are entering this overthinking phase, how you are supplying this excessive energy to your mind, which is then leading to overthinking, and how you can actually bring that to a stop. The process is very simple once you understand it. So let's break it down a little bit for you. Some time ago, we spoke about this. When you have a thought, it's only a thought until you start engaging with it excessively. When you engage with a thought, you align with it. You send it more energy. And you slowly start becoming over-identified with the mind. So, if you really want to stop overthinking, what needs to be done is to master the art of disidentifying with every thought that comes to you. Let's do a small experiment. For the next few seconds, I want you to intentionally, with your best efforts and with no judgment of the thoughts that might come to you, intend that you simply want to be observant, be watchful, and just notice the thought that is about to enter your mind. This simple exercise begins the disidentification process. Instead of engaging as a habit with the thought that's entering, you're beginning to create the mental muscle of selectively deciding where you want to engage. You're no longer unconsciously going to be sending that energy excessively to the thought. And that is what eventually leads to that explosion of repetition and cycles of those thoughts. So try this and I'm sure you will experience the beginning of that relief from overthinking. Now here's one very important thing that I want to share with you, and this is about the friction of implementation. What does this mean? Intellectually today, you might be understanding this concept, even liking it, and thinking that this is going to get you relief. Now the truth is, just intellectual understanding is not something that gets people long-lasting relief. One of the mistakes that professionals, high-performing people make is that they treat mental fitness as something which is like a little bit of a heavy chore, or they're looking for a shortcut. Your happiness and peace of mind are something that deserve dedicated time and effort. And you don't have to stop your life. You just have to recognize that just intellectually understanding, reading, listening is not going to be good enough. You need to figure out a way to actively implement the practices and the techniques. Now, if all of this is resonating, if you identify as somebody who's a high performer and you have been suffering with excessive thinking, especially when you're not very busy, then here's what I want you to do. Me and my team, with a lot of research, we have created a wonderful proprietary professional grade tool called the Stress Resilience Audit. It's a 10-minute exercise which will help you to actually identify what is your current stress handling capability, how are you mentally processing your thoughts and feelings, and what is its current hidden impact on your life. That's a great first start to understand your current landscape and then take it from there. If you're ready to try this, I've left the link in the description. Be conscious, recognize that overthinking is not because of a failure at your end. It's simply because you have not been given the tools and the methods and a manual to actually operate your own mind. When you buy a complex device, it always comes with an operating manual. In the case of our own mind, we did not receive that. So it's not your fault. Now that you know how to come out of it, it becomes your duty to try and implement. So do your best, take care, and I will see you soon.